And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Huddle, KGUD9 streaming sports talk show. We come to you every single Tuesday at this time. He's Pat Parris. I'm Jason Barr. Thanks for joining in on our streaming platforms. Pat, good afternoon. How are you today?
Looking forward to this one, Jason. I'm doing well.
Yeah, I said to you on the news Friday at 10 o'clock on KGUN, how are you going to sleep? You said, hey, I'm going to sleep just fine. Now I think we know why. The tone set, first play of the game at San Diego State. They win 38-20. Hunter Echols with a sack to start things off.
Yeah, that was a good omen, right? That was the way to start things off. I think we all knew that on the roster, the roster composition was so much better this year than last year. We had higher expectations heading into this season. They didn't disappoint, Jason. In fact, every one of the key guys that we saw come through the transfer portal, or some of those key freshmen that we knew were going to be coming in and helping Jedd Fisch's team, they all made an impact. Whether it be some of the the lesser known guys, all the way up to T-Mac and Cowing and Delora, they all contributed in a lot of different ways to an impressive win.
None more so than Jayden de Laura and Jacob Cowing. Jayden de Laura today named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week. Jacob Cowing had the 3 touchdown receptions. He looked like a guy who was a star player at UTEP and could come in right away with a lot of confidence and make an immediate impact. And although Tetairoa McMillan only had 3 catches, 2 of them were pretty spectacular.
Yep.
One was a touchdown in the end zone where he took a big hit and was okay. And another was when he got pass interfered with, it still came back to the ball and made a good catch. So we saw some of his talent. And also when he's not catching the ball, he's still somebody who the other team has to look out for.
Yeah, I think that the scouting reports will say that Tetairoa McMillan is a legitimate, prospect as far as a freshman goes. But the Cowing, that is going to be a defensive coordinator's nightmare to have to cover Jacob Cowing, because you look at what he does, Jason. He does what other guys last year weren't doing for Jedd Fisch, and that's always get open. He always gets open on every play, and there are very few receivers at this level that can do that, because you're going up against some good defenses generally. And I think, hey, it's one game. But I look at it kind of like the CBS commentators were talking about. This is a guy that can play on Sunday, and
I heard that.
He was at UTEP, and he knew the only way he was going to be able to play on Sundays is probably get to a Power 5 conference with a head coach, in Jedd Fisch, that has the connections to get him even more looks. But he's going to do just fine now as far as the NFL scouts. They've already taken notice of him, I'm sure.
Some of the statistics just terrific. Didn't allow a play on defense of more than 20 yards. 2 of 11 they held San Diego State to on third down, and only allowed 1 defensive touchdown. Right. The other one was
and that was after a turnover too. It was a shorter field. He gave up 2 field goals. Remember, the other touchdown they got was because of a miscue in the end zone trying to punt, where when your blocker just steps right in front of your punter. I've never seen that before, Jason. Last year, that would have just been another maybe a comedy of errors in a game that led to a loss. But in this one, they were able to overcome it.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter where it said, "Never change, Arizona, never change." But there was a lot more positive than there wasn't, and they overcame that, because
that could have been a really bad moment.
You were thinking, oh no. But instead, they came back, and DJ Williams, who's a physical back, he doesn't seem to be really fast, Pat, but boy, he's physical and gives them another dimension at running back.
I like this running back cut by committee to a point. I think eventually this may work its way down to 2 or 3 guys. I'm hoping it's not going to stay at 5, because clearly you see a couple of them already rising to the top. Williams is one of them for sure. And I think what you're talking about, Jason, is, yes, he doesn't have the speed of Michael Wiley, but he certainly has a power to his game, and it makes him very difficult to bring down, and he's small enough with that power to still find his way through some of those smaller holes.
Yeah, and I think they got a little lucky with the heat. I mean, I think mentally they used that to their advantage and said, "Hey, we're used to that," and certainly you wonder how much that affected the crowd at a new stadium and all. It's not fun to be sitting there, 100 degrees and sweating and all that, and you take the crowd out early in the game, and so the crowd's not really a factor. There was over 1,000 U of A people there, so that was good. And they used the heat to their advantage, and they rotated players. They've rotated players very well. So. Not a lot to complain about, and for sure, I would like to see a few more passes to McMillan. I would say that, but overall, you kind of know early on, Pat, what a team is going to look like. I'm not saying they're going to go, win a whole bunch of games and make a bowl game here, but if you remember, you go back to the basketball season when it was Tommy Lloyd's first game, and right away you saw, oh, wait a second, we thought this was going to be a 21-11 team. Right away, we noticed this team was going to be better than we thought. Right away, I think we noticed from this team, this is not going to be anything like last year's team.
I'm glad you brought up U of A basketball from this past season, because I thought the same exact thing. And it's not that we're saying the circumstances are the same. Of course, U of A basketball had some great players still left on the team, and they another year of experience, and we thought they'd be better. But Tommy Lloyd brought in a couple of guys. They were key contributors, and then he was able to take what they had and get even more out of these guys. Well, some of the guys that were still here for Jedd Fisch from last year, he's been able to get more out of them already than he did last year. And maybe part of that is this infusion of more talent that came from the transfer portal, and it came from recruiting.
50 new players.
50 new players. And this is the new era of college football. Love it, hate it, be indifferent. It's the way it's going to be. And if you can take advantage of it, if you're a master recruiter, certainly Jedd Fisch, I've always given him credit for that. He can sell this program and get these young players to buy into it, or these guys thinking about transferring, and it paid off big time already. Whether it translates into a winning record or not, we'll have to wait and see. I picked 4 wins. I think you picked 5 wins. I'm not backing off on that. I'm just saying this is a team that's even better than I thought they'd be right out of the gate. We'll see how they do in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, the players all give the coaching staff a lot of credit after the win. It was Cowing who gave Fisch a lot of credit. And I'm thinking, well, he hasn't played for Jedd Fisch before. His talent was, he showed what he could do before Jedd Fisch was his coach, and same thing today in one of the interviews with Keon Bars, who was interviewed today. For the TV news that we'll have this week. A lot of credit to Johnny Nansen. These coaches, these players really respect the coaching staff. I'm so tired of hearing Jedd Fisch trust the process. We're going to make a montage of how many times he says trust the process. But, in the back of my mind, I guess there is a little something to that, because the players do respect him.
You've got to have buy-in, Jason, and it's really hard to buy in when you're losing to Northern Arizona last year, and when you've lost all those games, and you finally get to Cal and you get a win it's kind of hollow in some ways. I know they celebrated, and they won the game, but we all know that Cal had COVID. So you get done with that year and you're like, well, we're buying into what, 1-11, and then you get this new season coming in. But they never wavered, Jason. Not last year. They didn't waver this year. So you need some tangible results, some positive results. There's all the buy-in in the world until you get knocked in the nose and you lose again. That didn't happen. So I think that's where the credit lies with the coaching staff, is they made these guys believe when nobody else believed.
Well, yeah, we told Jedd Fisch last spring at the luncheon. To me, the best thing he did last year is when this team was losing every game, the team still was together and never fell apart. And you might think that's a small thing. Well, look what happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, right? Winning can get ugly. It really can. And it didn't do that last year. And then he goes and starts this year, and he calls it year 1. No. Last year was year 1. Last year was year 0. So I guess if they don't have a good year this year, this is going to be year half, right? Next year will be year
maybe.
1.
Maybe.
I know, but I think they're going to win a few more games. It's a tougher schedule, and it starts this Saturday with an SEC team coming in. Pat, I was really surprised. I look at the game notes. They haven't played an SEC team since 2006. This is the first time ever they're playing Mississippi State. Only 7 SEC teams this team U of A has ever played. And, the coaching staff, the team's not making a big deal of it, but I'm sorry. With all of the coaching, with all the conference talk that we had in the offseason, okay, and you got the premier creme de la creme conference coming in, I'm sorry. It's a big deal that an SEC team is coming in here. Do you disagree with that or no?
No, I agree. We're not going to disagree about that one. I think there are extenuating circumstances as why you don't play an SEC team very often when you're sitting out here in the West. Now, it doesn't mean you can't make something happen, and they did. Now they're playing Mississippi State, so I'm glad to see it. But no, you can't downplay this. You're going to be on national TV for a second straight week, and I know in this day and age, there's a lot of games nationally broadcast. But when you're in the Pac-12 and you're at the bottom of the Pac-12, you find yourself playing a lot Pac-12 After Dark on the Pac-12 network, and that is not a national network, Jason. We don't remember that out here in the West. People aren't watching these games on the Pac-12 network back east and in the Midwest. They just don't have it on their cable systems, and they're not going to pay the money to stream it. We're looking at Mississippi State now, and we're looking at a team that just ran all over the place last week and threw the ball like crazy. This team will really test the U of A defense this week. I think we're going to see just how much improvement. I think we got one commenter, Jesse Conrad. I think he says he was impressed with the defense. It's going to keep us in every game this year. Better keep you in the game this weekend because Mississippi State, Will Rogers, and it's not your grandfather's Will Rogers of acting and Oklahoma fame. This is Will Rogers, who's an outstanding quarterback that they're getting everything out of at Mississippi State.
He's Pat Parris. I'm Jason Barr. We're talking on the Huddle here, KGUN 9 streaming platform, the streaming sports show on our digital platforms. We got another quote here from Wally Wildcat, another comment. The Cats did surprisingly well in the red zone. Didn't expect it. Yeah, that was a big point of emphasis.
5 for 5.
5 touchdowns in the red zone. That's inside the 20-yard line. That was fantastic. And that that meant a lot to them. And by the way, we did mention Mississippi State's an SEC team, but it's not a different style of play. They're coached by Mike Leach, who we saw in that video. He coached in Washington State. So we know even if you don't follow the SEC regularly and you just follow the Pac-12, you know what a Mike Leach team looks like, right? They're going to throw 50 times maybe. They're going to drop back right away. It's going to be a really at-you fast offense. So, yes, it's an SEC team, and we should see a lot of physicality at the line of scrimmage. But they're going to be they're not going to run it down U of A's throats, or at least try to. They're going to throw the ball.
Yeah, they're going to throw the ball. And Will Rogers last week, all he did was go 38 for 49, 450 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air. So you think Jalen Delore did well with his 4 TD passes as a Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week this week. But Will Rogers did even better. But he didn't win the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. That went to the Florida quarterback for their upset of Utah, right?
Yes, and by the way, 2 awards for Arizona. Not only did Jalen Delore win Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, Jalen Harris won Defensive Lineman of the Week. Not Defensive Player, but Defensive Lineman of the Week. They're still trying to look up the last time U of A won 2 awards. 2 awards in the same week. You wonder if maybe Khalil Tate won 4 in a row, I believe, 4 offensive players.
Yeah, that he did. Yep.
That year that he went nuts, starting with the game at Colorado. The 2014 team was good, U of A in 2014, but I don't know that they won two awards in the same week. Maybe Kadeem Carey's big year in 2012, but actually the defense was not good that year. So it's been a long time since they had that. So, something to feel good about. And you're never going to say, oh, when are they going to win a game this year? Or when are they going to win that or that? They have a win. San Diego State, yeah, they're not a Power 5 team, but they did win 12 games last year. It's a team that blew them out at Arizona Stadium this year, and they totally neutralized their quarterback in Braxton Burmeister. So, something to feel good about. And you know what else the win does? They're downplaying the SEC team coming in. You know what else shouldn't be downplayed? Having your home opener coming off a win, I think adds just a little bit more buzz and a little bit more to the Wildcat walk. I mean, imagine if they lost at San Diego State. It's just not the same. You have that home opener coming off a win. I think that just makes everything seem a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it gives everybody a little charge, a little more pep in their step, certainly. And you want to go watch this team play. And back to your point earlier, Jason, yes, Mississippi State, SEC, probably going to win this game. favored to win this game.
Touchdown
But
favorite.
why wouldn't you want to go watch this? Because hey, Arizona still has a chance, first of all, and second of all, Mississippi State's a very good team. They got votes this week in the AP Top 25. They got 10 votes. Arizona got 1 vote, by the way.
Let's hope that vote wasn't a mistake. It
ASU
has
didn't
been a
get any
mistake in the
votes.
past.
Yeah, it was
I'm
not a
sorry, go ahead.
mistake. Somebody wanted to give Arizona the 25th spot in the poll, so they gave him a vote. Also, real quick, back to Jalen Harris. Jalen Harris is going to be better this year, not only because it's another year and he's a terrific looking player, but he had a great game last Saturday at San Diego State. He's going to have more great games this year because he's got Hunter Echols bookend on the other side, Jason. And I think that is going to give offensive line fits all year. Is that now all of a sudden there is going to be 2 guys you have to account for coming off the edge. Echols comes over from USC, remember, and a 5th-year senior. You've got veteran leadership on that defensive line, and I think they're a way better unit this year up front defensively, and that can be a problem for an Arizona team, or has been in the past. It's not a problem this year.
It helps everybody. Keon Bars, right? Didn't
Yep.
Paris Shand on that defensive line?
Yep.
It helps everybody when that defensive line is doing well. They're a unit too. Sometimes you talk about the offensive line being a unit and a cohesive bunch that plays together. But when one guy on that defensive line is really out there balling, as they say, it draws attention to him and it helps the other guys as well. So for sure, absolutely. So, hey. I didn't think a week ago we'd be talking about, this type of performance. And, certainly we thought they could win the game. But to look the way they did and to pass the eye test, it's gotta make you feel good. And, we'll see what happens. Mississippi State running through that tunnel is different than San Diego State running through that tunnel. It's not like the NFL where every team is the same size, right?
That's true.
It's going to be a bigger team. And but hey, a lot of these years, these 3 preseason games are against teams what should be a cupcake win here or there. Not in this case, because they're staring at North Dakota State coming in next week. So a couple of good games here.
That won't be easy.
Yeah, and to your point, the knock on fans sometimes has been not only do they leave early, but they show for the opponent, right? The USC game draws so much more than the other team. Well, to your point, here's your chance to see an SEC team. You don't see an SEC team very often.
Why not come see him? By the way, John Wilner, who's the fine writer for the San Jose Mercury News, who really has a pulse on what's going on in the Pac-12, and I really respect his writing. He's been in the forefront of talking about conference realignment and where the Pac-12 is. He actually said, of all the things that happened this week in the Pac-12, he thinks that Arizona's performance was the most impressive. And in his power rankings, he puts out a power ranking every week. He actually had Arizona jump all the way up to 6th ahead of Oregon. Now, I don't know if I'd put him all the way up at 6th, but his point is that Arizona looked about as impressive as anybody did in the Pac-12 this past week, going to San Diego State and dominating the way they did. And they're a team that you can't just put down at the bottom of the conference anymore. He believes that they're going to be a team that has a chance to have a winning record. It's a big jump to go from 1-11 to, say 6-5, but stranger things have happened, Jason.
Yeah, no, I'm not changing my win total based on last week. I thought they'd be much improved this year. I said 5-7 last week. I'm not changing that off this win. They're still looking at a tough schedule. They're still going to have a tough stretch down the road, and they're still going to have some adversity. And it's always funny when people, this was an old Mike and the Mad Dog thing, they would go, before the season started and they would win, they'd go to the Jets schedule, win, loss, win, loss, as that was going to be. People still make fun of that and have fun with that to the day. I guess they were the ones who started it. So there's a couple in mind. I think they're going to beat ASU later this year. I think they're going to get up to 5, but I'm not higher than that, but I hope I'm mistaken.
Yeah. I have 4 wins, and I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope they blow right past my win total. But you've got to play the games, and I had them beating San Diego State, and I have them beating North Dakota State next week, but I do not have them beating Mississippi State this week. But that's why you play the game, Jason. They have a chance. I think that I think they have to play. I don't think they can have their own punt blocked in their end zone this week and overcome it like they did against San Diego State. But they have to play a pretty mistake-free game. And other than that, and there was one interception by Delore, but you'll live with that every once in a while. One in a game is not certainly going to kill you, but you got to play nearly mistake-free to beat a Mike Leach team.
I think the punt block is going to get forgotten. And the reason why is because one, well, as weird as this may sound, Pat, it wasn't off the guy's butt. Okay. Right.
It's off his hand. Yeah,
that's right.
The
famous play that everybody remembers from the Jets is when Mark Sanchez, they called the butt fumble when he ran into his own guy and fumbled. But I think it's going to get forgotten because it happened in a win, Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the defining moment of the season. When I look back at last season, I think what was the most embarrassing moment? You could say, yeah, losing to NSAU, but you could also say the optics of doing walk-on tryouts halfway through the season. And the New York Times
was not good.
The New York Times picked it up and everything like that, even though most teams do actually do something like that, and nobody ended up making the team from the
well, and they still had the long losing streak, right? They had the nation's longest losing streak at that point, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, I think more the Cal win and the NAU loss is what I think about from last year.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot more moments, and the fact that this happened on a win and they didn't go off the guy's butt and they recovered from it. I think they'll get forgotten a little bit as opposed to if this happened last year. So
don't you think they're working right now on protection on the punts in your own end zone? I believe that they're going to have to make sure that the blocker doesn't step right in front of the punter, Ostendorf, again.
Yeah, no, that I'm sure that would be super embarrassing. I was going to go that deep in the weeds in this. I put a little of the fault on Josh Donovan. You've got to know that the situation, and also if I'm Kyle Ostendorf too, I also got to realize I'm punting right into the guy. I know everything's happening really fast, but you still know. I guess he just figured Donovan wasn't going to move that way. But anyway, I think that play is going to get forgotten. So anyway, Arizona football 1-0 against the Mississippi State team, 1-0 Saturday at 8:00. We're going to get some great weather. I think it's only supposed to be in the low 90s Saturday.
Yeah, there's a little chance of rain, but hopefully that stays off. It should be a nice game to actually sit out there after 8:00. Got to get a nap in though before this, Jason. 8:00 kickoffs are tough.
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. Unlimited Coca-Cola in the press.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we could touch on the NFL and the Cardinals here before we call it a day. Cardinals a little banged up going into week one. You don't want to be banged up going into week one. You don't want to be banged up going into a game, against the Kansas City Chiefs. But Marcus Golden and Zach Ertz have some injuries, and certainly they're going to be without their top receiver. So not ideal, but also Kyler Murray shouldn't have that distraction with that contract. He should go out and have a big game against the Chiefs on Sunday.
5 years, $230 million. I think if Jason, here's an interesting stat I read a while back when he got that contract, the 5-year, $230 million contract. If he throws the same number of pass attempts this year as he did last year, each time he releases the ball, that's $94,000. Think about that a minute.
It makes me think of Zach Greinke's contract and now other pitchers too, where it's basically $1 million a start.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's just, it's another level of expectations put on a quarterback who to this point is still young, but hasn't, in some people's eyes, maybe attained a 5-year, $230 million contract. They've got it, Jason. It's this simple for the Arizona Cardinals. They've got to finish what they start. Last year, what'd they go? 9-2. They went 9-2, had a bye week, and then only won 2 more games. They finished 11-6, lost to the Rams in the first round. Okay, you lost to the Rams, they go on to win the Super Bowl. But the point is, they had to play the Rams in the first round because they just barely, kind of backed into the playoffs because they did not have a good finish to the season. So get a few wins here early. DeAndre Hopkins comes back after a 6-game suspension, and you're off to the races. Let's hope.
So, yeah, other game I'm looking forward to. I believe the Sunday game is the Cowboys and Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken. So, so that'll be good to see how Brady does and
Tom Brady does.
Yeah. And with,
He's had
with
a
the
lot. He's got a lot of people commenting about it, what he did for 11 days when he was away from the team. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, you're going to the game, Sad. What's cooking on the news tonight on K-Gun 9?
Just a regular Tuesday for us here tonight, and I'm more interested to see what you have on sports because you're going to talk Arizona Wildcats.
We're gonna have Brennan Carroll talking about Jalen Delora being the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, and we'll either hear from Nansen or Keon Bars on the defense, and that's what we'll have. That's what we'll have today at 6. I thought maybe you were going live somewhere today. Not today.
No, I'm not going live today. But I will certainly be talking to you about the Wildcats at the end of sports. We also have a big game Friday, Jason, with high school football with my Sabino Sabercats, and they're dedicating the stadium to a new. They're naming it a new name, and we're going to be out there, and we'll make sure that we let everybody know how those festivities go. And it's a big rivalry game for Sabino, right?
Yeah, they played Saguaro. Saguaro won for the they went winless last year. So they and Rio Rico won their openers. All right. Well, this has been the Huddle, K-Gun 9 Sports Talk Show, streaming on all the platforms you know so well. And thanks everybody for tuning in and for the comments from Jesse, Wally, Celine, and Nicole. And Diggs. We appreciate it. And we'll see you right back here next Tuesday. For Pat Parris, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks everybody here on the Huddle for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.